Hello, everyone. Happy end of Monday. Another day, another low volume rally. Little squeezy at the end of the day. So we got that going. But again, this markets, it's propping up by some hot air that's slowly running out. Just be patient. Just be patient. Like in this mode, I'm in besides intraday patterns, everything else is trailing mode. It'll top when it tops. You don't try to call the top tick. You wait for at least a close in the rotation zone. But there's trading, and all you got to do is get one good pattern, even a couple good patterns a week. You don't have to catch every move. There's a great pattern this afternoon. Hello, team. Hello, Patrick. Did you get any accumulation of snow, Patrick? It's been snowing off and on all day, but it's only stick. We put up the top on the gazebo, so it's sticking on top of the gazebo. We put out all the summer furniture. It's all sticking on the cushions there, but not sticking really on the grass and the snow. What a joke this is! 84 on Saturday and then 34 today. Hey, Daniel. Hey, Ted. Squeezy, brah. Evening, Charles. Good evening, Nisa. Again, thank you for tuning in. So nothing really today after housing market index coming in line. Tomorrow, what do we have? Tomorrow, another very boring day besides we got some Fed speaky. Other than that, housing stuff, but that's not really doing anything to market. Red Book isn't really doing anything, and that's just in a downward death spiral. Nice thing about it, more people used to track Red Book. I still think it's very interesting. So it's showing the strength of consumer, and that's been falling off a cliff. So that's where we sit there. Google. Google getting sold on, what was that, Samsung? Potentially going to switch to Meta. I'll believe it when I see it. I think that's just a negotiation tactic for some stuff. Meta. So comm services taking it a bit, but pretty broad based industrials. A little moving into defensive, but when I see real estate really rallying, a little pullback finally in oil. Overall, real estate, consumer, cyclical, financials. This is not indicative of when you get. This is leading the market, not strong. But you did get a little rotation into consumer, defensive, and industrials. Fed watch for May. How many days? 15 days, 21 hours. 86%. This is nearly getting fully baked in. And if we look at the probabilities, I don't know how they don't hike, unless, again, that PCE comes in horrible. PCE comes in really weak. I mean, it would be good PCE if it drops substantially for the consumer, but that would be, I guess, if it comes in way below expectations, with 3 months at least pricing in one hike between 3 months total. I don't know how they don't do a hike with this, unless they're spotting something that's behind the scenes, and then the market would react to that. I think the market would react now if they don't hike. Climbing up greed, almost back into extreme greed. So there we go. Again, JB Hunt was a pretty decent miss on earnings, so that's trucking. Watch that. Stuff is continuing to slow down. We're starting to see it in many different areas. I did not look at the rest of these banks. I'll glance at them after this live stream. Tomorrow morning, you got to pay attention to Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, from the healthcare, J&J, Lockheed Martin, BNY Mellon. Don't ignore stuff. And even if you're not in any of these stocks, what I suggest to people is you glance at them real quick. Glance at them. Look at, if you can glance at the earnings report. Just look. You don't have to dive into numbers, but it gives you a sort of, it goes around in your brain, and then you start to see patterns over quarters. Okay, and what's holding up, what's deteriorating, and then tomorrow after the close, you got Netflix and United Airlines. So there you go. There you go. Where are we? It's not manipulation. A squeeze is not manipulation. It's taking advantage of. I mean, it's taking advantage of a bunch of shorts, and they're forced to cover in lower liquidity environments, which this is. That's why I like to get short things once they roll over. I do not like to call tops. I like to be prepared for tops. I don't like to try to call tops because you can get in these environments. What I'm talking about with low volume. See, look at Thursday. Sorry, Thursday. Big update. Look at the volume. Friday, little back and forth, but still down. It's still down 22 basis points. Up volume. Wednesday, up volume, down. Today, up what? What did we go? Up 37 basis points from Friday's close. But look at the volume on the up days. Look at the recent volume on the down days. Look at the volume on the prior down days. Then the up days started drifting off. And that's what you don't have the broad market support with this continued rally either. You don't have a lot of stocks participating. You have fewer and fewer. Now, does that mean it can't continue? No, it can continue. Highest close recently. Highest close since, this is the highest close since 2nd of February. So it's just sort of grinding higher. So warmed up today. A little accumulation in my county is gone, but still snowing along. All right. Hey, George. Hey, Richard. Hey, Rich. Nasdaq is forming a huge rising wedge. The downside potential will be huge. My target is COVID low. Well, let's jump to the Nasdaq real quick. This is a weak, we did a lot of research in the wedging patterns, and this is a weak wedging pattern. This is a weak one. But I do agree that we're going to break down pretty substantially. So, I mean, this is now, it's gone into, if this before was wedging a bit, and it was wedging a bit before, you want to look, when you see this is, I'm going to draw this, ignore the extension, but when you see this kind of thing, ignore down below here. When you see this, that's wedging, okay? And the steeper, the better. Now, you can technically say this wedge was broken. However, what's the target of this wedge? See, and it's just drifting sideways. So I didn't want to do it like that. I wanted to do this. See, this is the technical target of the wedge from the anchor point, and look where it hit. If this was a properly drawn wedge. So what I'm looking at is this. Let me just do this. So you see what I'm talking about. All right. So this is sort of what we call the base. You got an upper, and you got an initiating point, defining point, and you want to use those concepts. Again, if you don't know what those are, I have a free 3 trend line video up on YouTube. And it applies to this concept. Initiating point, defining point, initiating point, technically I missed, that's the defining point. Then you copy for a break to the downside. You take the same slope as the upward line and anchor it from the initiating point on the downward line. And that's the technical target from a wedge pattern. And you can see it, if I scrunch up the chart, it looks steeper. So you can see, but that's the technical target. from where it broke here. Now, what's that telling me? That this is just reinforcing. Look what it's reinforcing also. So this is your key line in the sand, though. It's already hit the technical target, but look at where it hit the bottom of the rotation zone. We start breaking down below this, and we start closing below about this 12.9. Start closing below. I'll put a line here. 12.9. I shouldn't have done that line. I should have done this line. What am I doing? There. Sit up and take notice. Okay? Sit up and take notice. That is a little, when you get something like that, let me just set up my lines again. There we go. So we can leave this line on here, but that's once it really gets, and this is a defining point again. And the break, by the way, if you're using trend line stuff, and I don't stress that as much on this channel, I use it for my own things, just because I try not to do everything. But look at this. This is sort of nice. You see this? Look at these reaction points. Look at this reaction point I just drew. And look, reinforced by Friday and today's data. We break below that, and tomorrow's bar is going to be here. It also break below the trend line. Breaking below the trend line, here's my first target area. Break below the defining point, here's the next target area. And this could be, if you were aggressive to the downside, this could be rolled forward into positions. Or you could always take, because you might get a bounce here, you might unwind a little, bounce a little, put it back on, and then roll it over. And then the next target, I watch the 50, and look where the 50 is coming in with this swing low from the 28th of March. You get below the 50, you get below the 50. Here's my next target area. 12,274 to 12,323. Get below there. Guess what the next target area is? This is the way you can map out your stuff. My next target area would be between the 200 and this these candle body bases. I'd actually extend it even down to the 50%. So I'd have a target sort of a target rectangle. We'll have we'll put on a target rectangle. For a longer term move. Then I'm sure everybody knows what's my next target. So this could all be part of one trade from a bigger perspective. My next target, and a target isn't always where you have to take profits, but I've already mapped out how the market would break down and where it at least lower stops. Below this, what's my next? You know how powerful the 62.5 is. There you go. Below the 62.5, on a closing basis, we got the 87.5, and that's right where this major bottoming target is. Then we got the October lows. So I've mapped out a break of the top. Now, we keep rolling up in this. If we get rallied the next couple of days, we will have a weekly double top, which then I could combine the targets. We don't have it yet. But look where that takes us. Be back to the bottom of the weekly rotation zone in the 50-week exponential. And then if we got a pattern like that, it could be rolled forward. Depending on your strategies and your structure. So that's exactly like what I do to help me map out to the downside. And I'll do the same for the upside. I won't just do the downside. Now, once downside trades start triggering, and if you're in a trade, then you're in a trade. But if there's nothing going on yet, like I just mentioned, the potential double on the weekly, where does it need to get to? It needs one more push higher. It could technically, but this is too flat. But I'd rather see it get up to this 13,300 area, get a nice little weekly double top. Not necessary for a big breakdown trade, but would be nice. To the upside, though, we break above minor. We break above this 13,250 area. My next target, I'm using the harmonic. Next major harmonic, 13,295, 13,3. We keep going. Target is 13,351. Then, because of the reverse harmonics, I can use my next two stop raise targets, or a possible stop raise and a target area for profits, because nothing keeps going forever. So that's exactly how I can map out the trade, and then depending on where we sit with other things, what I want to do at each of those targets will come into play. But that's what I found is very helpful, because like in this calm time, we can analyze upside, downside, and then when a trade triggers, we can go with it. Just like this afternoon. What was this? I'm telling you, it doesn't matter why something happens either. That's just interesting information. But what's this? Let's say you didn't have a news feed or anything else, or didn't follow anything. What do you see here? Remember what I was watching this morning. Look at the lines. This is the same line that was drawn this morning. Where did I say to watch? If we broke down, where did I say to watch? 41.50 to 41.48, 41.47 area. What did we form right here? First push down, 41.50. Next push down, 41.48.25. What did this form? Double bottom. What's this? You can even see it. What is this? If you can't learn to spot this, this is momentum. And then boom, first target area. Also lining up real nice with this big pausing area. And then you get the pause. Continues to go, little pullback into the rotation zone. And you know, with a 1 bar pause in that 15-minute and then another breakout. Almost back to the other harmonic. So that's what I'm saying. You don't need to try to trade this back and forth slop. You can sit on your hands. Oh wait, we got double bottom. You know, this was a key support area. Oh, look at these momentum bars. Decent trade. You didn't need to trade this slop. Then you can always look at other stuff. All right, well, let's see. We started getting momentum, you know, 1:30, just a little before 1:30 Central Time. Let me check in on that tick. So we're breaking down. Look at this. If you can't notice this change, look, you're coming up. Where are we spiking to? Almost to 1,000s. And then we're pulling back. Pullbacks aren't, look at this. It was back and forth, tested the minus 1,000, and then ticks holding up. We got a double bottom trigger. We're spiking towards 1,000. So you don't need to trade every move. A lot of moves aren't worth trading. VIX. Let's take a look at that VIX. The old VIX. The old no fear in the markets whatsoever. When this thing reignites, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I want to see if it trades down to 1650 first before it really gets going. I'll take a look at comments in a second. The Dow, inside day from Friday. So what do I watch? Friday's low, Friday's high. We'll take a look if there's early warning breakouts, 34,200. Russell actually holding up against this 50. We break above here tomorrow. 1830 is the target that I would be utilizing. And DAX, not much yet. Notes, this was closing right at that 50 exponential. So going to watch. We break down below that next target, 113.27, then 113.15. Dollar index. Going to now watch. Now I'm going to watch for the secondary reaction. We got some follow through. Going to watch for that secondary reaction, then see what we got set up for a possible continued push higher in the dollar index. At least into the weekly rotation zone. 102.30 area. What have I missed? Fragrances world. Any thoughts on gold? Yeah, I'm watching for a significant top to form. And then we'll probably get a multi-week pullback. We completed a significant Elliott wave pattern here. I'm watching to see if we actually form. We could actually be forming a potential, if we get a little bounce tomorrow, we could be getting a nice head and shoulders top. This is the first time we've really gotten to the bottom of the rotation zone since the first cross the rotation zone back at the 10th of March. So I'm watching for, and then I'll be watching for probably a corrective. If you look at Elliott wave, I'll be watching for a corrective pattern to unfold off this significant top area. And then we could be in for some interesting times in gold. Just from this, we got cycles rolling over on the weekly and stuck on the daily. So that's why I'm watching also for a further breakdown. I'd love to tell myself in January that we'd see 16 handle on the VIX mid-April. I wouldn't have believed it if you said it, that we'd get to 16. Can we have a review? Sure. Sure. Let's ask Sterling next time we see him on here. There's a big one on the weekly chart. That's not a really strong wedge, the way we do wedges. It might be the way you do wedges. It's just not the way we do wedges from our research. I mean, if you tried to put a wedge in here, it's a tough call. But you know what? If it works for you, that's wonderful. You've said it. What happened to bingo? Oh. Now since you said it's dead, it's probably this is probably the move that wiped everybody out. I'm telling you, dark screen, learn to these used to be called the pink sheets kind of stuff when I was cutting my teeth in trading. Don't trade this crap. Don't trade the squeezies. Learn how to trade the real stuff. I'm sorry you lost your money. But it's tuition. Don't squeezies. I mean, if you want to take, let's say you have like some just pure gambling money and you want to, it doesn't matter, although I still don't like trading squeezies. But if you want to just don't take your real account or the majority of your real account. You know, you can learn to trade real stuff and do just fine. Learn some good patterns on stocks. Right now, I'm still telling you, keep looking at dividend plays. People think, oh, this is boring. Oh, why would I want to trade this thing? It's going nowhere. Well, it's going nowhere, and you're collecting an 8.5% annual dividend. And overall, fine. You can accumulate some on key areas. Altira is not going away. You're collecting an 8.5. It's not incredibly overvalued. 14 PDE on dips that even dips and your yield goes up. You know, you can build some decent wealth. I'm not advertising you getting this stock. You have to do your own research. I'm not advocating it. I'm just giving you an example. So there are things to learn to trade, and then this is not a trade. This is more an investment. It just happens to have triggered a double bottom pattern. But that's beside the point because it's got a great dividend. It's coming. It's not going away. And collecting 8% with a portion of your investment account, and then you keep some other stuff in short-term yielding interest, like around stuff that's yielding 5% or more, or close to 5%. Hey, you can grow an investment account that way. It's not as sexy as, oh, look, it's up 25% in 2 days. But if you didn't get out at the right time, you didn't make anything. And I'm not picking on you, by the way. I am not picking on people. All right? People who approach trading, and I'm not saying you did this. This is out there for anybody who happens to catch this video. Trading, as Bob has, and I've said for years, trading is not a get rich quick. It can be a get rich quicker. People who approach as a get rich quick generally get broke quick or lose their account quick. We don't advocate, you know, I'm showing you patterns that you can research. Like I don't stress many patterns. I trade a fair amount of patterns. But I stress in this channel just a couple simple ones which have a way better than 50% win rate, and you can learn to master and use on multiple time frames. Look, if you just learned against key support levels when the market's still in an uptrend, watch for double bottom patterns in a stock, in the futures, double bottom here on Friday. We went over this one. Double bottom today against key areas. You do your research, master one pattern, right? Bigger. Remember the NASDAQ double bottom back here in the daily time frame but I still remember this. People are like, yeah, but I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it here. I didn't buy it at 1836. You would have had me get in at 11.2 or 10.836. Okay. And pullback rotation zone. Rotation up. Rotation zone, rotation up, rotation zone, rotation up. Rotation zone, rotation up. Close below the rotation zone, wait. Rotation zone's back. Double cross pattern. Double cross means it went into the bigger correction on the weekly. Rotation, rotation up. You don't have to worry about catching everything. Take the chunks out. What brought you to that company in the first place, Dark Screen? Hey, you know what? See what most people do in trading, and you know what you will get if you persevere and are disciplined and take some time and learn correct tools and don't jump from thing to thing. I've taught people one pattern, and people have become successful trading one silly pattern. Doesn't trigger every day, but you don't need it to trigger every day. Now, once you master one, you can go on to master others, like Head and Shoulders. You can keep it simple, like wedges, like rotation zones. I love my percent Bs. Like percent B buy right here. Right before the double triggered. Percent B buy with rotation zone. Little percent B buy here. Percent B buy right here. Percent B buy right here. Percent B buy right here. And rotation zone. So you can just learn the simple. Let's take a look at crude. Crude closing into the rotation zone. So now with the dollar in it, if the dollar keeps bouncing, watch for a slightly bigger pullback in crude. I'm watching this 79.20 to 79.50 area with getting out of overbought finally and getting cycles back to the bottom. Natty gas closing above the rotation zone. The only thing, the next key target, if we do continue, is 242. The next minor target we already hit. The challenge here is there's no clear path move, so there's a lot of stopping points. We already looked at gold. Silver's pretty much in the same boat as gold, so I'm looking at them the same. Copper shook people in on Friday. Now going to take them for a ride the other way. Keep an eye on the 10-year bonds from Japan if you're trading the currencies, because this is really getting close to that 50, and we triggered the double. So any pullback, my key support is now 133.76 to 133.80, and the first target area is 135.32. Euro. Watching for a slightly more pullback and then the secondary reaction setting up a potential bigger rollover trade. Pound, coming back to bottom of the rotation zone. Still watching to see if the double triggers 123.44 on a close below that. And the first target, do not ignore because it's right at the 50-day exponential, which is around 122. I'd just go to about 122.50. 60. Bitcoin. Are we finally beginning to crack down on crypto? Watch to see if we can get that close below 28,300 for any bearish stuff. Tesla, remember earnings Wednesday afternoon. Very boring day. So, and did you do all your own research? I mean, a lot of YouTubers were talking about it from the squeeze aspect, from the look at how much you can, but how much research did you do independently? Because a lot of crap out there. There's a lot of crap on YouTube. A lot of people roping people in and dumping their shares to them. That's why you'll never hear, that's why I rarely discuss anything. I don't tell people get into this or that, the other thing, because I don't even want to be mistaken for that kind of stuff. This is to help people learn. So, all right, I'm just thinking of anything else. JBHT. I forgot the symbol for a second. JB Hunt, not down that bad off of the missed earnings. But I think this is going to be a more substantial. I think we are going to easily retest this 156 level longer term. I would not be overly aggressive on this stock. See, compare this to the other one I showed, Altera. Look, this has under 1% dividend, trading a PE of 20, and break with bad earnings now. Missed the last two earnings, and in trucking, if we're going into a recession, we could see a substantial rollover. This is not something I'd be putting my money in. Hey, Paul. 5? Boy, for some reason I'm feeling chilly right now. This is another one. Oh boy. Uh let's see. 5 below. You're at a perfect area for a bounce right now. Without a pattern, I'd be looking intraday for a pattern. You start breaking below this though, here's your key thing. If it doesn't get something going on, and then I'd watch for a bigger rollover play in this. By the way, longer term, I'd be watching for a bigger rollover play in this. If you start closing below 200, your next area you're looking is about 191. Which would take you back to the bottom. Look at that. Look at the support level we found on the daily. About weekly. There it is, bottom. And then the major thing would be a break below 188.50. And I'd be targeting that about 177. On a move up, I'd be watching if you start getting a little bounce after this 4-day pullback. My key area would be between 210.45 and 212.88 for another rollover play. That was the correct pausing bar. So we got the harmonic top. We got earnings on Netflix tomorrow. Let's just see where we stand. I do not have any insight into earnings. The only thing is if we break above today's high and close above it, we do have a very aggressive percent B buy. RSI is in neutral zone. Cycles have rolled up for the bottom in neutral zone. Weekly still rolling over. There is not a fantastic topping pattern though. Although you get a move below 323, you're probably going back to about 310. To the upside, it did close above the 62.5. The target's the upside if it does rally with the earnings would be 355 to about 397 would be a major target. A minor target would be 346 to 349. So I'd be watching this intraday tomorrow. But I'd also check my volatile, which I can't check right now, but I'd check on the projected move based off the options, which I don't have in front of me right now. But this is in very neutral territory. It's sort of a crap play. Now, yeah, it's a really... traditionally, Netflix does pretty well in the first quarter. So if that rolls into earnings, and I wanted to risk an earnings play, if we triggered like the percent B tomorrow, I'd be watching for a move higher. So that's where we sit. By the way, your major, see, it's not even against, I mean, it's bounced against the 50. rotation back up, broke back down, closing at the rotation zone again, but bouncing off the 50. This is, so that's really, I don't see anything else besides that percent B buy if it does trigger. All right. Any thoughts on ORC? Quasimodo hiding in the background, asking about ORC. Well, this again, learn the pattern. What was this? It's already played out, but what was it? Nice little double. It's also a percent B buy to front run the double. Holding a 62.5, little bounce up. I mean, it would break above about this 11.15 area. You got 11.32 to 11.50, and then 11.80 are the targets. I would, let me just see. I'd be betting this one rolls over again longer term. So anywhere up in here, I'd be looking for a potential rollover play. Let's just see where we sit on the weekly. Ooh, cycle top. Yeah, so the real breakdown level on here, I would abandon any bull case below 1060. Aggressively on a close below 1080, I'd be questioning any bullish case. Below 1060, done. Other than that, if it breaks above this 11.15, you can see another short-term pop, but those are the target areas I'd use. Intel on the 4 hour. Then I'm going to wrap it up. Ooh, that is. Well, you can still watch this. It's confirmed but not triggered. And it's really sloppy. That's about it, because if you start breaking below 31.71, it's into a clear path back down here with probably going to 30, this other area. So if it cannot hold here, you got the rotation zone in there for a minor bounce, but I think you're going back to about 30.25, 30.30 if it does not hold here and trigger this little 4 hour sloppy double, which only potentially takes you back to the low 33s. So that's just a scalpy little thing. I'd be watching more so. Now, daily cycles are at the bottom, so you might get a little pop. But then I'd be watching for a more substantial. Would I be adding aggressively an Intel up here? No. No. This is not the area to be aggressive with Intel. This would be a little trade, but not an aggressive area. Because you got weekly cycles rolling over, daily cycles trying to turn up, but when you get to top on cycles, and you're up at this area, be watching for at least a return to the 200. And keep an eye on the SMH. The SMH still, this double is still in play. This did not take it out of play. And now the 50 is out of the way too. So if this were to trigger, I'd be real cautious on Intel from the bullish side. Also, there might be a little bounce in AMD, but I'd be watching for another potential rollover play after a bounce in AMD. So I keep an eye on these because they can drag it down. NVIDIA's barely holding the daily rotation zone. And if NVIDIA breaks, we could easily see that 250 level again. So keep an eye on those other things. All right, there we go. So if you're trading Intel, keep an eye on the SMH, AMD, and NVIDIA. AMD, a little bounce before another rollover. NVIDIA could trigger a topping pattern and get that pullback, possibly even to the 50-day. Longer term, this will be a fantastic trade. This can almost be a this. If you want another here, I want to take off all these lines, but let me see what this looks like. I'm going to keep an eye on that little. It's not the best wedge, but it's not bad. So what does that put it? A couple weeks out, maybe, to get to this area. All right, there we go. Yeah, once you learn, that's key. Once you learn to not overtrade, you don't need every trade. You wait for your high probability trades at key areas. One of the best things to do is identify key areas off the daily and weekly charts and wait for intraday setups at those areas. If you could just stick to that, and you're not going to get a trade every day, okay? But the trades you do get, if you have good, like, hey, kind of stuff, I identified those levels off the higher time front charts this morning. We got a double. You start doing something. I don't care what pattern you trade. Find a reliable pattern and then identify your key levels off the daily and weekly charts. And then if you need to be a little more, if you're good at that, then add in some levels on the 4-hour charts. And watch for your patterns to execute at those levels. If you can stick with that, that will help you not overtrade, and you'll have a lot more success. With that, I shall talk to everyone later. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for tuning in. On your way out, if you would please like the video. If you learned something, thanks. Bye for now.